Hello and good morning. This is our Q&A class. This is a class 100% led by who is in attendance. So what I need you to do is to ask your questions in the chat box. It's open to anything you want to discuss about Mortgage Coach. So drop them in the chat box, or if you know you have a mic and you have a question, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you as well if you don't want to type it all out. So either way, again, led by you, the loan officers that have joined the call. If you have a question, if there's something you want to learn, if you are a black belt and there's a strategy you want, if you're brand new and you need help just getting started, drop those questions down in the chat box or raise your hand, and I would love to help you with whatever it is that you do need right now. And we do still have a few people joining the call. If you join the call with a question, drop it down in that chat box. Let me know what your questions are or raise your hand and I can unmute you and we'll be able to discuss whatever it is that you do need assistance with on this. Hopefully it's sunny where you are too. Sunny Thursday morning. We have about 10 of you in here, so please take this time for yourself. Whatever it is you came in, please ask those questions. Let me know what direction you want me to go into so I can help you grow your knowledge in Mortgage Coach and help you feel more comfortable with Mortgage Coach. And I know a couple of you guys aren't very quiet normally, so please feel free to ask those questions. Looks like today we're going to have a quieter group. Let's just go into Mortgage Coach. I know yesterday I was asked to show a simple, I did the strategy call yesterday, and I was asked to show a simple presentation just demonstrating points versus no points. So I'm going to go in, do just a quick points versus no points presentation. Remember, this is your time, so if there's a different direction you want me to go into after I show this, drop it down in that chat box, let me know. But I'm going to start with new client. Now, honestly, if I was doing this, I would use a strategy template. And if you're not familiar with strategy templates, it's basically having everything already laid out. So all I have to do is go in and add in the client name, the type of presentation, how much they qualify for, and interest rates. It is the fastest way to actually build out a presentation. So I'm going to start with new client just to show the basics. Once you go in there, what you will notice is the red indicators, minimum fields to be filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the client name. I'm always going to include the phone number here. Reasoning why is when I place the phone number in here, every time my client Tom opens up the presentation, I'm going to get an alert saying, hey, Tom opened the presentation. Here's Tom's phone number. If I'm opening up those on my phone, I can simply touch the phone number and call Tom. Prospect versus client. I don't talk about this a lot. This is just a way to separate your clients in different pipelines. And we're going to go down, and this is going to be points. Actually, we're going to do purchase, September 2020. This is when I plan to close it. I can change this date. This is an easy search, and I can show how to use this. Search engine criteria, so I can quickly look, what do I plan on closing in my pipeline? Only thing I would fill in is right here, your new home, the city they plan on purchasing in, the state, and the zip code. Moving on to the next page, Now I'm going to put my goal, purchase a new home. Make sure that you are selecting the goal. This is one spot that we do see frequently in our support area where you don't select a goal. If you do not have a current loan scenario, or if you do not want to show a current loan scenario, always choose that purchase. Clicking on that next again. Now the only one I'm going to fill in is that little red indicator. Let's say they qualify for $350,000. And then I'm going to move to the next page. Everything in the affordability and the expenditure is not required for the total cost analysis. The only thing I recommend is if you're maybe in that pre-approval state, you haven't ran credit, you're just doing an estimate, you want to throw something out there so you can make sure that the client is paying attention, I would recommend asking them how much they currently make and what is their average monthly debt that they pay to installment and revolving payments. So I'm going to say my client is paying $689. Those are the only ones that I'm worried about, especially in that pre-approval state. And then I'm just going to go right into my product one. 9 times out of 10, let's say this is a first-time home buyer, I would be doing an FHA versus conventional 5 or 3%. If this is a client that has saved up the 20%, I'm going to do that conventional 30-year. I'm going to start with the basic loans. So I'm going to make this a 30-year fixed. And remember, this one I'm doing points versus no points. No points. If you have product templates, you can lay a product template in at this time, and that should lay most of your fees and everything in that product template down for you. I'm not going to use a product template right now. I'm going step by step. Here's my purchase price. What is my down payment? 20% down. I would look up my interest rate, or if you have Optimal Blue, I would run my Optimal Blue interest rates. I'm going to say 3.125 for a 30-year with no points. I should put 365. And then I'm going to add my closing cost details. This is where I'm dropping in my closing cost. Again, you need templates. The minimal template that I would have built are these fee templates for my closing cost. So then I can come in here and I can do my conventional purchase, and mine are, I need to clean up all my closing costs to see if I can get some in there. There we go. So once I have this closing cost in here, I can change and adjust things. I can highlight it, type right over it. I can delete it by using the X. I can add more fees by clicking the add fee. What is included in these templates? These are including all of your closing costs, not to include prepaid days of interest, hazard insurance, property tax, and reserves. Everything else can be included in here, including contribution. If you do have a contribution, click on add fee, and there is, under your C's, and I just type the C, contribution. I can add by dollar amount or percentage and who is doing the contribution. The other one that's often missed is down payment assistance. Down payment assistance in here, there is a down payment assistance. Once I click on that, I would add in again dollar amount or percentage, and I like putting my down payment assistance on broker. It's a third party, so I always place it over there on broker. Now, down payment assistance, rule of thumb, if there is no payment made by the borrower, whether it's a forgivable loan or an unforgivable loan, I am going to include it in here. If there is a payment, I will include it as a second loan. Once I'm happy, simply applying it to the loan, you will then see APR cost and non-APR cost populate over. This one's going to be no points, so I'm not going to add points. I'm going to add my prepaid days of interest. And then I'm going to come over here and add my hazard insurance and property tax, either based on dollar amount or percentages based on the property that I'm doing. Last but not least, I'm going to add in 2 months hazard reserves plus 12, so a total of 14, and 3 months for my tax reserves. So my first product is complete. I'm happy with the way it is. Now I'm ready to develop my second product. So on this page, I'm going to click on Add Another Product, and this is going to be my 30-year without points. Or no, this one's with points. With points. So the fastest and easiest way is once you've established that first loan scenario, you use it as your base product. Everything you do from this point on is copying that loan product. So I'm going to copy that loan product, and then I would simply make changes based on the new option. So this new option, I'm going to pay points. I'm going to say it's going to take them down to 2.875, and they're going to pay 1.5 points. So I'm going to come over here to the next page and add the 1.5 points. So now I can go in there and I can see. Now here is where I can see the information about the loan. So my debt to income ratio looks really good. That top in there is 36 and 37, completely approvable in most cases. My loan to value is at 80%. That looks great. I have my prepaids in there. You can see the points on the one with points, no points on the one with no points. This is a quick area for you to check in to make sure that everything looks great. So everything looks good on this loan. Just to ask, is there any other scenario or any type of product that you want me to build for a third product? And if there is, drop it in the chat or raise your hand, either one. If you raise your hand, I'll unmute you. Couple of options, anyone who does an 80-10-10, I could show that 80-10-10 really easy. We can talk about MI options. So anything else you would like to see compared in this option? Looks like we're good. Let's go ahead and go here to the analysis page. In the analysis page, let's do MI options. Is there any particular MI option that you want or that you use? I can show split, I can show front MI. Actually, let's do split because then you'll see both where you can put it in the front as well as the monthly. So let's add another product, and we're going to do 30-year with split MI. So now we're going to change it again. But remember, this base product is where I'm going to start. I did all the work to set that one up, so I'm going to copy that one first. And now I'm going to go down and make changes. So I'm going to say the down payment. We now are going to only put 10% down. Their interest rate is going to go up. They're going to move up, I'm going to say, to 3.5% interest. Our upfront MI, in order to be able to add that premium, I would add single premium here. Now you can see here's where my FHA, VA, USDA, those Govy loan premiums are here. I'm going to add single premium. Now at the bottom of the next page is where I'm going to get that single premium. So I can come over here. I'm going to say it's 1.9 is my single premium. If I was doing a Govy loan where I can add it to the loan amount, I would simply click here and it's automatically just going to increase my loan amount. I'm not going to do that because I want to make sure that it stays at 10%, that 90% LTV. And then next thing is the MI insurance here. I can add it as a dollar amount or a percentage. I'm going to add it as a percentage. I'm going to say 0.64. Once I add this on here, you'll see this little calculate MI on balance pop up. You only want to check this if you're doing a Govy loan. And the reason why is because government loans calculate MI after the end of each year. So once a year, they recalculate. The conventional loans calculate after each payment. So or once a month. So as that payment's made each month, it will recalculate the MI on there. MI cutoff, 78. And then MI months, I'm seeing now more common 120, but it could also be 24 months at your work. So make sure that you check in with your office to see what it is. I am seeing a lot more 120 as that commonality of the MI cutoff for 10% down or even 5% down. Any questions on those? Looks like we're good. Let's go ahead and move on. The analysis page, property appreciation. Keep this conservative. Reason why is it is property appreciation and will reflect in this long-term area down here. So this one will be taken in consideration for 15 years. So 4% increase every year for 15 years adds up quickly. So go ahead and keep that conservative. National average has been around 4% for the last few years, so that is a good spot to be. If you're in an area that's running not as high, you can change it to 3, but just remember it does reflect for every year. Short-term and long-term. This is your short-term, and this one down here is your long-term. So what does short-term show? Short-term is showing unrecoverable cost. The true cost of home ownership. We are adding closing cost plus interest in MI. So it is the true cost of home ownership. You can see that split MI, of course, is going to be the most expensive option. That is what's reflecting in that window. Now, the long term, you can choose what you're going to show. Right now, it's showing interest in MI. I can come over here. I could change it to show total net worth, or I could choose to show total principal as well. So it really comes down to what is it that your clients need to see? What is it that your clients are trying to achieve, and how are they wanting to get there? That's what I would choose. I'm just going to put it on net worth for this one. On these, I'm going to unmute you. And I don't want to screw up your name, but I did unmute you. You have to unmute yourself. And then you can tell me how to say your name.
True.
Trul? Hi, Trul. How are you?
Good. So my quick question: why you don't have the option for the borrower to choose the long-term charge and the short-term saving band match? Because
Absolutely. We don't allow the borrower to make any changes to the total cost analysis simply for marketing purposes for you as the loan officer. Marketing shows that a client needs to see your name, hear your name, associate you with the product 5 to 7 times in order for them to buy into you. So in order to make sure that you're getting those touches, we like to make sure those are in your hands. But a lot of this work is done in the upfront. If you're asking the questions, you will have what is significant to that borrower and what that borrower wants to see. And those questions, most loan officers now, and this is what we consider a white belt, most loan officers ask, when do you want to have your house paid off? When do you want to retire? But they're not asking other deeper questions. Why are you buying? What is going to be your purpose in buying? Do you plan on buying other homes? You know, do you plan on using this to leverage it to pay anything in the future? For example, kids' education. So to really start diving into the reason behind the client wanting to buy a home, more than it's just the American dream, because especially with our millennials nowadays, their goal is not to own a home. Their goal is to grow their net worth. They have a different mindset than many people that were raised that are not millennials. So, and they're the largest group right now buying. So you really want to make sure that you're asking those questions. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you back just so we don't get any feedback or anything. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. So let's say that my client goes in and they say, we actually are looking to buy up in 4 years. I can set both of these on the same time frame. If there is one solid goal, I'm going to make sure I'm achieving that single solid goal that they're trying to achieve. Once I'm happy with this, then I will click on that next button. Now let's say one of these is not an option for my client. I simply uncheck the box. I cannot delete the product. The reason behind that is simply because if you were audited and they wanted to see your mortgage coach account, we want to show them that you are offering more than one option. So by simply unchecking boxes, you can even choose to show only the option that they chose. Finally, I'm just going to pass these up because we've already worked with these in the analysis screen. If you click on one, the only advantage is some of you have the ability to adjust and change that verbiage. And finally, clicking on preview, adding your quote date. This is what's going to protect you in case the client comes back and says, but you quoted me. You have the date on there, and click on generate shared link. That generate shared link is the fastest way for you to then add a video on. So once you click onto that generate shared link, it's going to ask you how you want to add your video in the mobile app or in the web browser. Simply clicking on which one it is, then you'll be able to click the record button to start and stop the video. Now, a little secret here. Most of us click on that button, we do all of our talking, and then we look down to try to find where the button is to click it to stop it. If you're using a mouse, once you click on that button, pick up your mouse before you click it, click that button, and then do your talking, and then when you're done, just click your mouse button again without looking down. That's going to allow you to not look down at your screen and you're using it just as a remote. So a little secret cue from there. Once you've recorded them, you have that loop to be able to continuously play it, as well as do not play if your client keeps jumping in there. You don't want them to have to watch the video every time. Just click that do not play. Once you're happy, you exit off. It says, do you want to upload? Click on yes. It'll say we are uploading. Then it will say we have completed your upload. In the presentation, and I'm going to switch the view to side by side, you now have the ability to highlight. Highlighting is simply clicking the name, clicking the row, or clicking the individual cell with your mouse button. What am I going to highlight? I am going to highlight the factors that are, again, important to my clients. Most clients are either payment or closing cost driven. One or the other is more effective for that client. You want to make sure that you understand, are they more concerned with how much money they have to put down, or are they a little tighter on the budget and you got to watch that payment? So whichever one that is, you want to highlight that single one for them. Information on here, only ones I'm typically asked are that first total interest percentage and 5-year cost. You notice when I float my mouse, it does pop up and tell you what it is. Really quick, 5-year cost is the unrecoverable cost in the first 5 years. And the total interest percentage is how much money is going towards interest in the life of the loan. We do have Freedom Point down here. Freedom Point is, and I keep putting the wrong amount, so Freedom Point is how long the loan is. So I should put 360 instead of 365. Mortgage information here. Here's where you're going to see that mortgage insurance. So you'll be able to highlight that information. Closing cost. Again, highlighting the information that's unique to the client based on the scenarios. It's initially bulk. Once you click into fee details, it's itemized up here. At the bottom, it's booked based on who is paying what, as well as it breaks out your points and your prepaid interest. If you're doing a reinvestment strategy, that would be in this box, and you would be able to see it here. Now remember, on the monthly difference, as well as the savings over 48 months that I'm showing, the 0 is the most expensive. The other ones are showing the savings. So based on my client, if my client is more concerned about the payment, even though it costs a little bit more over the first 4 years, this might be their better option. However, if that payment's not an issue, then this would be the better option. Again, really understanding what it is that my clients need. More information here, very similar to the summary information that's located over here. Savings over 48 months here. We are adding interest in MI plus closing cost. And finally, net worth in 4 years. This is giving our balance. And remember, pay attention to that home value. Home value has gone from 350 to 393 in 4 years. And that's with a 3% increase for my property appreciation rates. That's why I say make sure that you're staying conservative because it does tend to increase pretty fast. Loan balance, total PITI is in here. If I did an investment, that would show up in here and give me a total net worth. Any questions on the output? And we call it a total cost analysis or TCA. So if you hear that verbiage, that's what I'm talking about. Now, once I've done everything, I've added the video, I'm ready to send it to the client, I have a share. I'm going to actually get into that really quick after I show this. I have a share button right here. I can simply click on my little envelope. It'll put that into an email, or I can highlight it if I have some templates already created in my email and just drop it in there. So the question was, what about reinvestment? So here we showed only 10% down. Let's assume that the client wants to see a 30-year versus using that 10% down and reinvesting that 10%. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to click into the monthly page here because I'm just going to add another product so we can see them side by side. And this is going to be the split MI with investment. I am going to copy from my 30-year with split MI. Remember, I'm copying the loan that's closest to which one it is. There is nothing I have to do to change in here. So I'm going to use my jump menu up here, and I'm going to come down here to my analysis screen, and I want to work with that reinvestment strategy. So I'm going to go over here to adjust reinvestment strategy. Now, a quick thing that you can do in here is once you're in here, you can compare. Here is where cash to close. Here is my cash to close with the split MI. I have about $30,000, and I'm just going to round it to 30,000 instead of doing the actual math. So I'm going to use that extra 10%, and I'm going to come down here to that investment balance, and I am going to invest that 30,000 up front. You'll see here, rate of return. I would ask my financial advisor. Yes, it is recorded. If you want a copy of the recording, send me an email, tina@mortgagecoach.com, and I would be happy to send it out after I get it all prepped and thrown into YouTube. So rate of return, I'm going to say, they say, my financial advisor says on a risky one, he gets 6% on average. So I'm going to throw that 6% in here for my rate of return. Now you'll see in 4 years, he has $38,000. But truth be known, this one up here, my client is saving an extra $382 a month. So I want to show them apples to apples. So I'm going to take this $382, I'm going to bring it down here, and I'm going to make monthly payments of $382. And again, adding that 6% return. So then I'll be able to compare net worth, apples to apples, which one's going to be better, buying the house 20% down, or using that 20% down, placing it in a more liquid asset at a 6% return, which is the same for that first 4 years, because we're really trying to move this client up so they can afford to buy up when it's ready. So once I'm happy with that, I can click off of here. Now remember where I shut those loans off in presentation? I'm going to turn my 2 middle ones off so we don't have to look at that one. Clicking on my next button. Yep, I sure can, Cheryl, and I'm just reading. So now that I'm over here into this section, I turned him off. I'm going to go down, and instead of clicking preview and starting all over, remember it's a hot link. Any changes I make automatically will reflect in my payments. So in 4 years, the question is, what's going to be better for my client? We have the payments equal here. If I still want to show the difference in those payments, there is a button for me to click on in my analysis page. If I click on exclude reinvestment payments, it will show that difference in the actual presentation. So, and I need to click next to get it to reflect. Let's just quickly open up a new window so you can see. So now you can see that difference in payment is still up here. Now that question is, which one's going to be the better option for my client based on them wanting to buy up in 4 years? I can come down here and I can say, you know what, based on what we were looking at, it is actually going to be better for you to put that 20% down and put the extra money into the investment account than it would be for you to only put 10% and put that investment in. So I can quickly show that. I don't have to justify why one is better than the other because it clearly demonstrates it for the client themselves. Any questions on that? Now remember on here, if you want to show principal reduction too, that would be in here. And that is just dropping the principal reduction payment right here. So I can quickly just drop a principal reduction payment so it keeps all the payments at the same. This is great for showing if you are doing refinance and the client doesn't want to roll back into a 30-year. Okay, let's go into my next question. My next question is a refinance, and we're going to refinance and show subordinating a second. So again, I'm going to start with new client. Now with refinances, my preference is always to start with new client because my current loan is what I'm going to leverage. I'm going to leverage that in all of them that I do. So I'm going to go in here. We're going to give our client a name, and it's going to be Cheryl. Placing in the last name, placing in phone number, typing it right so it's reflected right. And remember, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say we're going to close September 2020, and I'm going to put Refi in the front. Contact information. You can place the client's name or address. In the goals, whenever I'm doing a refinance, I always just like to choose other. That's my preference. You can choose any of the others up here. If you choose pay off my debt, and let's say I put $10,000 in here, what it's going to do is it will automatically add that $10,000 to the payoff amount. So whatever you have as your current loan payoff, it will add that $10,000 to it. But I'm just going to click other. I like working my numbers manually, so I like always just clicking other. Now, the only one I use in here is my current property value. So I'm going to say currently that it is 465 for, whoops, 465 is the appraisal value. How much does it appraise at? Now, the only one I would ever consider using on here is my property value at last transaction. And the time I'm going to use this is if my client does have MI currently on the loan, I'm going to use that to show the MI drop off. So I would put that information in there. But on this one, I'm not going to have MI on there. I'm going to click to my next. First payment date. When was the first payment date on the loan? I can go in there. Now, this is one that I get questions on frequently. What if I don't have that first payment date, Tina? That first payment date is everywhere. You can find it in HomeBot. You can find it if you have access to title. You can pull title and find it in title. If you pull credit, you can see where that first payment date is in credit because that's the day that it was opened for that transaction. You can also look in Zillow. When was the last time it was sold? So there is a lot of places where you can find that first payment date information. So I'm going to go in here and I would say first payment date. I'm just going to pick a random first payment date. Then the original loan amount. How much was that first originally? So whatever that first was, and I'm going to say, and I know, Cheryl, you gave me numbers, but not enough information in there. So I'm going to say it was $365. The interest rate on that first one, I'm going to say it was 4.75, and the term 360. Now what you'll notice is, yes, sold date is typically, if you go 1 month after the sold date, is the first payment date. Or 2 months if they closed it at the end of the month. But you'll be able to quickly tell if you have a statement with a balance. So once I have that information in there, you'll notice it's given me a different remaining balance. This is based on normal amortization payments. So on that amortization payment, if they made all of the basic payments at normal time, they should be around here. Now let's say I have an actual payoff statement and either they've made more payments or they might have had some fees thrown in there for late payment or something. I can simply type over this and adjust it and put exactly what that payment is or the payoff statement if I have it. It does not impact my P&I statements or my P&I payments. So that will remain the same, but I can still adjust this remaining balance. And this is the balance that's going to start that new next loan. Now we're going to scroll on down. Clicking on next, we're going to add in the actual hazard insurance. We're going to add in the actual property tax. I'm going to scroll down now and it says, does this loan have a second lien? I'm going to say, yes, it does. Now when I click on next, it's going to open up my second lien information. Again, I need the same information I did on the other one to place it in here to start filling out that second loan. The original loan amount, I'm going to say they had $35,000. I'm going to say interest rate 3.125, 30-year, or actually let's do a 20-year. And it's going to give me a remaining balance here and a P&I payment. Now, many times these are HELOCs. If it's a HELOC, click on HELOC and you're going to notice this P&I payment does adjust a little bit, but also the minimum payment down here. HELOCs are based off of either a minimum payment or a percentage of the loan. You want to make sure that you know which one it is and add it in. I'm going to say it's 5% of the loan balance is what they're making their payment on. I would then put the 5% in there. Now, if it's not a HELOC and it's just a fixed or an ARM loan, I could leave it on fixed. I'm going to say they had 120 months that they were interest only. And then I could go ahead and say it is a balloon payment in 240 months. So you can make those adjustments as needed. I do have a great video on HELOCs. I will drop it into the chat box when I'm done showing this, so you can go through if it is a HELOC to be able to see that HELOC payment. Now I'm going to advance next. Again, if I want to see debt to income ratio, I'm going to place that information in there. I'm going to go to my first product. Let's do rolling it back to a 30-year. Copy from the product, the current product. So I have two identical. This is important that you do it in these steps. So copying from, that's always the first thing you do. After you copy it, you will notice I have down payment amount. We don't want to see down payment amount. We want to see equity. So I click on yes, or is it a refi? That's going to switch it over so there's equity. So you can see my property value here. My base loan amount is there. And then I can go make adjustments. Now, if I'm subordinating the second, what I want to do, or what you'll notice is that base loan amount's in there. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn off my second loan. So here, does it have a second? I'm just going to turn it off. But what you will see is my loan amount is going to stay the same. It is automatically added that second in for me. So I don't have to come back and add that second in there. That second has been added automatically into my loan amount. This is where a lot of people get stuck on there. So if I'm subordinating the second, I will need to then adjust this amount to keep it in there. So in order to do that, I simply would come back here, go into my assumptions, and find out what is my remaining balance. This is what I want my balance to be for that 30 years. So let's say the first one, I'm going to not touch that second. I'm going to leave it as is. So 301, and if you need a cheat sheet spot, you can come over here, 301, 583. That's what my beginning balance is going to be on my loan. Now I'm going to come over here and I am going to change the beginning balance on my loan back to the same balance, 301, 583. And this is going to be my 30-year with subordination. I now would adjust my interest rate. I would add my closing cost. I really need to clean those up. Applying that to the loan. Add my prepaid days of interest and add in my reserve months because these are copied over. So I'm going to add my reserve months, 2 and 3. And let's add that second back on there. So now when I click on next, here's my second information. Oh, and it didn't pull it over. Let's recopy, I think because I turned it off. We're going to do this one without subordination. Then I'll do the second one with subordination. So this one I'm going to roll the debt in. I got to learn to do that one first. 336, 583. And if you notice, I just used up here for my loan amount. So let's do subordination with the second one. So now I have that one, add another product. Again, copy from the current. I'm just changing the name so we know which is which. And this one's with subordination. Did I lose anyone? I hope not. Copy from the current loan. And now we're just going to leave everything as is. As we come down here, you'll see that remaining balance is in there. We're going to switch yes. We're going to come on down. We would adjust our interest rate. We would add in our closing cost. Add in our prepaid days of interest. And finally, add in our reserve months. But our second loan would still be in here. So that would just be pulled over from that first loan. But it automatically added the second in. So now we're going to come back. And we are going to remove that second. Okay, go back all the way. Remove that second from my base loan amount. We don't want it in there. Remember, I put it in here as a cheat sheet. And now when you look at it, you'll be able to come in and see all of the loan amounts are the same. So here is my rule of thumb with subordinating a second. If you are not going to show them the second option of paying it off, I just do not include the second in the presentation, because you have to go back and forth and you do have to remove that second from the loan, base loan amount. Cheryl, any questions on that? And again, if you have a mic, you can raise your hand if you do. Now, here's the other factor, cash to close. If you do not want to include cash to close, you want them to zero cash, and you just want to increase the loan amount, it is really easy. I'm going to go back to the first loan. All you have to do is, after you add all the fees, go into your closing cost details, add all fees to loan, apply it to the loan, add your prepaid days, and if you are showing points, make sure and click that as well to add the points, and then it will zero it out and everything is increased, the total of your closing cost. So you don't have to come in and you don't have to do everything manually. All you have to do is click those few buttons. So again, closing cost, and you want to do this after the fact because your reserves are not in here until you add those reserves on the second page. Add it to the loan, points, prepaid days, and next. Now we can go to our analysis page, and you can use the jump menu. Change and adjust anything here based on the client. If the client's looking at, if I do pay it off and if I pay it off, when's my break-even point? In this savings over 60 months, that's where you're going to easily be able to find that break-even point. So let's say this one, this is a HELOC. They want to leave it open. They still want to be able to pull money as necessary. I can come in here on this one, and let's type in 36 months, because typically it's somewhere around 36 months in that short-term savings time frame, to find where it's at. And it's even less on this one. So between 5 and 6 months is that break-even point. It costs more here, but the 6 month, and remember, my numbers are not always as accurate as other people's numbers, so mine's not as realistic. But normally around 36 months is where you're seeing that break-even point in today's refinances. So I could show my clients really quick, if you're keeping the house more than 6 months, it's going to pay off for you to refinance. Long term, on this one, again, I could choose to show any of the three. Most cases, refinance, I'm showing net worth. I want my clients to see how it's going to affect their net worth with that. And then we'll just open it up. So you can see the total output. So here's the output. Again, here's where you're going to get that client going, but what if I don't want to roll back into 30 years? What can I do? And that's where you can go in that analysis and quickly just click on Adjust Reinvestment Strategy. Here's the savings. Send me an email, Cheryl, letting me know that you want a copy of the presentation, and I will send it to you after the fact. So I'm going to put in the 537 here, and I'm going to apply it to whichever one has the highest interest rate. So 570.23. So now I've reapplied that extra money. I still want to show it in the window. I'm going to click the little button to include it. And then when I come over here, what my clients are going to see now is they will see, and mine's taking longer to update just because I'm in the presentation while being in Zoom. It slows my computer down quite a bit. And now I can come in here and I can show my client it's going to pay off faster, and you're going to cut term off your loan by refinancing. And truth be known, subordinating on this one is or not subordinating, this one's paying off the second, but subordinating the second is the better choice for this client if their goal is to grow the net worth faster. So, and they're saving more money per month, but remember that's being reinvested. But the savings over the 6 months, it's costing them a little bit more, and that's by subordinating than if they were to pull it in and refinance it. So again, everything's laid out in here. Any questions on the output? So I tell you guys all the time to put the date when you plan on closing your loan into the presentation name. I'm going to show you really quickly. When your upper management asks for a report, what are you going to close next month, or what do you plan on closing in September? I can go into my search all, and once I go into my search all, I'm going to go in here to friendly name. I'm going to put Refi September 2020 and click search. I plan on closing 2 refis in September. Let's say I want to check my purchases. Again, going in here, and now I can just change this to purchase. And click on search. I also have 2 purchases. So it's really easy for me to come in here and find what it is that I plan on closing based on the information I placed in here. So I plan on closing 4 purchases in August. And 1 refi. So it makes it really easy for you to then pull reports for your manager if you're doing total cost analysis for every client. You can use that search all, but just remember, keep it consistent because it does have to be word for word, whatever that presentation name is. If I wrote out refi on one, and then I put refi and shortened it on another one, and I only search for the shorter one, it's not going to pull the longer one, only the shorter one. Another little secret is if you are marking them funded, then you will be able to come in here And I'm going to delete this and quickly pull whatever it is that you funded and see what was funded. If you open all of these up, you can see when it was funded. So another little quick thing that you can go in and quickly see. Any questions? We're about to the top of the hour. Let me give you my favorite playlist for trainings, and this one includes the HELOC in there. This is all very short videos, very short, to the point. In here, you will see the bottom of the list, how to enter a HELOC loan. That is usable for both if you're refinancing and the original loan is a HELOC, or if you're building out like an 80-10-10 or an 80-15-5, then you'll be able to, if you have the second loan as a HELOC, this is the video you want to watch. It is to the point. Marcy does an absolutely great job of explaining it in there. Also in here, you'll notice everything is around 10 minutes or less. There's a few that are a little bit longer, but most of them are short to the point. As you get down the list, this is where we have more of our ones that are strategies. So that's where you'll be able to see those strategies. Any questions or anything else that you guys do need? Go ahead.
So,
Hi.
yeah, so I heard that you have CRM integrate into the mortgage coach. How does that work? Is there any CRM?
Yep. With the CRMs, LOSs, any of our integrations, and I can show you where there's a full list of them, you do have to have an enterprise account for all of them except for a couple of them. So let me go into there, and I'll give this to you in the chat box. So with our integrations, we are integrated into several different ones. The only two you can use without having an enterprise account are HomeBot. That's one of them, and HomeBot is used for refinance scenarios. So what the client will do is the client will actually trigger in HomeBot that they want to see the comparison for the refinance and choose the product, and then it will send you over an alert as well as start your total cost analysis in Mortgage Coach. The other one is Jungo. If you have Jungo, you can turn it on as well. It is one of the integrations within Jungo. And Jungo, you can push over. You can both start a total cost analysis, or you can start a refinance, a purchase or a refinance in there. And what it's going to do is it's going to push over all of the client information. So you'll be able to push that over into Mortgage Coach. All the others do require an enterprise account. So, and you can see there's a lot of them, and we're constantly building out new ones. The one I am most excited about, and we should be turning it on and betaing it next week, is MI Options. We have two companies that are now, two of the MI companies that are integrated with Mortgage Coach. We did have one, but that wasn't within compliance. So now we have two of them integrated. So we're going to start testing those MI option integrations, making sure that everything works fine with them. And our goal is to have all 6 of them by the end of the year. There are 6 MI companies, and we want to have all of them by the end of the year. Another thing that we are working on that should be rolled out, we are getting ready to finally beta it, is our true debt consolidation. So in that debt consolidation, you'll be able to put all the client's debt in there, installment versus revolving, interest rates, be able to check which ones you want to roll into the loan, leave the ones you don't want to roll into the loan unchecked. I am so excited for that one. You guys don't even know how long I've been, well, actually, if you're on here, frequently. You do know how long I've waited for it, but that is one of my, I'm so excited for it. So, and last thing is, if you're not in our Facebook group, we have a great Facebook group. A lot of the information is pushed out into here. A lot of calls are pushed into here, and feedback from loan officer to loan officer. So if you're not in our Facebook group, I would suggest jumping in there, just because it's a great place to rebound ideas off of the other loan officers out there in all different areas. So top of the hour, thank you for joining me. Most of you guys stuck around. I do appreciate it. If there's anything we can do, remember support@mortgagecoach.com, or using the little help button or chat button in the lower right-hand corner is the best way to get support. Otherwise, thanks again. Have a fabulous weekend, and I hope that you guys are kicking off August with a great group or great pipeline. Have a great day. You're welcome. Bye-bye.